Yeah, good morning and welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We're bringing it to you hot and live like we do each and every morning. Coming in hot at you on this beautiful, what is this, a Tuesday morning, 6 a.m., live on the radio. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard. And my man on the other microphone, he is a great patriot. Why don't you introduce yourself, Mr. America?
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangster.
Yeah, it is time. We are Scout Team Radio. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard. You are the most egotistical, self-deluded, unimportant person I've ever met. Yes, and all of that is true. And
That's it. What? You're fired.
I'm fired.
I'm doing it. You're fired. On the air. Boom. Done.
All right.
No. All right. Anyway,
Whoa,
the
dude,
man on the other
security
microphone.
is here already?
He's a great patriot. You know him as...
I'm taking all the staplers.
Okay, that's it.
America.
You do not take staplers.
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this Tuesday morning, and apparently it's the Mondayest
I already said
Tuesday.
that. I already said it was Tuesday. I already did. See, you're stealing my thunder now. I see. Oh, this is going to be a contentious morning between Chris
Don't blame
America
the
and
fact
Loudbeard.
that your soundboard's down on me.
Okay, so I have a little technical difficulty, but I come in hot, and then all of a sudden you come in and try to one-up me, throw in the intro, do my part. Chris America, that's it. I'm still standing by my stance that you're fired.
How do you feel
Yes,
about
sir.
your sound? How do you feel about your soundboard not working?
No, I think it's great. Bringing it in different. Oh, you know what, Chris America? That may put a smile on my face.
Good.
You're rehired. You're back on the scout team. Congratulations.
Thank you, Loudbeard. I appreciate that.
Yes, you were cutting your pay in half, but that's okay. You're gonna survive. Well, you bring that drop in, and that's one of the great rock drops that I've ever heard. But all I have to say to you, Chris America, is you can suck it, because Degeneration X, my favorite faction of all time in the WWE, is officially being named to the 2019 WWE Hall of Fame. And you and I, we don't talk about wrestling enough here on this show, but today I did want to mention that we've got the WrestleMania coming up. They do their Hall of Fame inductees every year, and this is a entire faction that are all getting voted in as DX, and Degeneration X came out in that Attitude Era, and to me, that was my favorite time in WWE wrestling, man. Is that one of your favorite factions of all time?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. And it was the answer to the NWO. WCW just took off on the Monday Night Wars with the NWO faction, and so they needed an answer. And so they brought in The Rock, they brought in Stone Cold, but the icing on the cake to that era was Degeneration X. And I think without it, I don't think Triple H gets pushed over. They tried several times before then, and it just never worked out. But then once they teamed him up with Shawn Michaels and started the whole DX thing, it took off, and so did his career. And then the other thing that kind of helped is also marrying the boss's daughter. So that also helps.
Oh, yeah, that was big time. That's how you get pushed over the top, right? You're like, this is an easy in. Marry into the family. The royalty of wrestling, the McMahon family. Just marry in. That's the way to do it.
She was first in love with Kane, which totally makes sense. And then he drugs her and takes her to a Las Vegas marriage place, and then they get married, and then it's love after that. It's happily ever after that. For those who remember that storyline.
That was one of the most romantic storylines of all time. That's how it happens in real life. That's like a real life scenario of how people fall in love.
I mean,
they should
if
make
you're
a
not
movie
falling
out
in
of
love that way, if that's wrong, I don't ever want to be right.
it. Yeah,
But-
it's a true story.
Loudbeard, I think the one thing that is upsetting a lot of wrestling fans about this move is that this is how Chyna's getting into the WWE Hall of Fame. A lot of people feel like she, in her own right, deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame by herself, which I definitely agree. You can't tell the wrestling story without Chyna. And I don't know that DX, I think it would have been okay without Chyna, but she set it over the top for me.
No, China was a integral part of that whole faction. She brought like a different vibe to it. I mean, she brought the face of women's wrestling a little bit more on that like spotlight. Even though she was fighting more of the men, and a lot of the women were afraid of her, and she was just such a menace on that side of it. I still think that she was such an important role, and you're right. She should be inducted in on her own right. Now, Shawn Michaels and Triple H are going to be double inductees where they've been inducted individually and they will be inducted in this faction. And China, they should do the same thing. Now, they can still do that. Unfortunately, she passed away, so she's not going to be able to be around to enjoy this. But I do think the WWE, out of respect, if they induct her this year in that faction, maybe next year or the year after, she could probably be inducted individually, and I think there would be nothing wrong with that. It's not too late to do it, but you're right. I could see where wrestling fans would be pretty tiffed because she should be going in on her own individually for everything that she did for the world of wrestling.
Especially in this era of WWE that is celebrating women probably more than most other sports entertainment products out there, as far as like pushing them to the top of the card, making them the big deal of the show. I mean, women's wrestling right now is as big as men's wrestling right now.
Absolutely, man.
This is my outsider's perspective. Now, I don't watch wrestling week in and week out, so maybe those who do can tell me I'm wrong, but from my outsider's perspective, from the few pay-per-views that I've watched the last 2 years, they're pushing women as hard, if not harder, than some of the men. And some of the women storylines, some of the women characters are far more popular than the majority of the men characters that are out there. And a lot of that got started with China. She was, in that day and age, it was all about the divas, and most of the women in wrestling were just models to go out there and be managers and look sexy.
They were the eye candy.
You're the eye candy. And China was none of that. I mean, she just went out there and, kicked some tail and took some names. And she did it her way. And I think another wrestler around that time that probably helped boost that too was Alita. Or not Alita, I'm thinking of Alita Battle Angel, but Lita with the Hardy Boys and everything. But she was a little bit after China. China was before her. Yep. So, I mean, if you can say that anybody kicked off women in wrestling, I mean, she was in the Royal Rumble, for goodness sakes. Before there was a women's Royal Rumble, there was China going in to the men's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, these were all unprecedented things that were going on. And you're right, the women were always the eye candy. They were hanging on the arms of the men. They would be the manager. They would just be hanging out. And China completely changed the face of what that was. And because of somebody like China, we have a women's Royal Rumble now. It's not just the divas, they're going to be on a calendar, we're doing photo shoots with them. That's what they're here for. These are fierce competitors, and they're serious about fighting, and they're serious about making wrestling for women a popular big deal. And that's what it's become. And you're right, some of those storylines nowadays around the women are 10 times better than what they've got going on for the men. And it evolved wrestling. And I think China deserves all of that credit, and I'm with you, Chris America. I am 100% with you. China should have gone in individually. Now, the other two members that are getting voted, and I guess three members, you've got Billy Gunn, the Road Dogg Jesse James, and then X-Pac.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Degeneration X proudly presents to you the tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg Jesse James, the badass Billy Gunn. We are the New Age Outlaws.
Good job there. That was
Come on, take
spot
the
on.
other one. Come on, take the last line. Do you know it?
And
if
suck
you
it.
ain't down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Suck it. Okay,
There you go.
I got that one. It's been a while, Chris America.
Oh
It's
man,
been a while.
it's one of those things that I just could never forget. It's almost like once you know a song, it was just one of those things.
Oh boy, I've enjoyed nerding out on some wrestling with you first thing this morning. This was you weren't expecting it to go down this road, did you?
I mean, I knew that was a news story, but I wasn't expecting you to come out hot off the top ropes in a steel cage talking about Hall of Fame wrestling.
Oh, good times, man. I feel like lately I've been seeing more and more like clips of old wrestling on different social media, and then on YouTube they got the little highlights, and it's bringing me back to the good old days. And just seeing this kind of just, I don't know, brought me back even further to a place where I remember the good old days of wrestling. But I digress. I'm an old man on my lawn waving my fist and said, these kids these days, they will never understand what it was like. These kids don't understand The Rock in the Stone Cold era. And then the New World Order, WCW and WWF at that time, WWF. Those Monday Night Wars, that made wrestling so great. There was so much competition, and all they did was try to outdo each other every night. And you saw some of the greatest storylines and some of the greatest wrestlers and everything at that time. To me, it'll never be the same.
And then if you stayed up late on a weekend night, you'd find this independent, very, very edgy, lots of blood, lots of violence, ECW. Those were also the days, man, when you had the barbed wire matches and the, oh man, just all kinds of stuff going on, the barbed wire bats and just total debauchery and violence.
Oh yeah, that was way before WWF or WWE got their hands on that. Before then, you had like Tommy Dreamer and
The
Rob Van
Sandman.
Yeah,
Rob
RVD
Van
before he
Dam.
got there. Yep, absolutely, man. Great times. Thank you, Chris America, for bringing me down this stroll of memory lane. On that note, though, I am going to move on. Lots of other topics to talk about in the world of sports. And you are listening to Scout Team Radio. He's Chris America. I'm Loudbeard. We're coming in hot every 6 a.m. on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. Podcast also drops out there on the Barn Burner Network, our website, scoutteamradio.com, and Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find a podcast. So, Chris America, I need to bring this up because I don't think we talk enough about hockey, and I need to go down a little bit. We go wrestling and we're going hockey. We're going off the rails today. We're going a little wild, but
Barn Burner fans are going to love it, man.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, I've said it on the show before. I've never been this huge hockey fan. Just never been a huge, but I like hockey. I appreciate it. I love live hockey, but I do know that right now there's a little bit of a story going on, and this is why hockey is great. This story right here. So the Canes, they've got this post-game celebration tradition that they started this year, and it started getting some heat. Some of the hockey traditionalists, especially Don Cherry, on Hockey Night in Canada, heavily criticizing the Hurricanes for what they're doing. But you know what? The Hurricanes do not care. So what they're doing is a full celebration. It's kind of like the NFL players doing their crazy celebrations in the end zone. I saw one of them where the entire team came out and they were doing the limbo they used the hockey stick as the limbo stick, and they're basically putting on a show for the fans. They're kind of celebrating, saying, fans, we did this for you. Here's a little extra entertainment. The players love it. The fans love it. It's just adding a ton of fun to hockey. But there's always going to be those old-time guys, the old traditionalists that want to get on their lawn, wave their fist, and kind of downplay what these teams are doing. And you know what? I'm proud of the Hurricanes and their coach, their head coach. He's letting reporters know. He's telling them it's not about everyone else. The critics are missing the point. It's about our players engaging our fans and thanking them for sticking with us, being there for us, and trying to provide a little levity to a pretty serious game. We push these guys pretty hard. So that's what the head coach of the Hurricanes comes out and says, Chris America, do you approve of celebrations in hockey?
I approve of celebrations anywhere. I mean, when the NFL finally allowed wide receivers and running backs and whoever to get in the end zone and celebrate, I like it. I tell people, don't be so sensitive. And I find it funny that hockey is doing this when they have a team like the Detroit Red Wings who throws squids onto the ice, and we throw hats onto the ice, and we make a big to-do. I mean, celebrating your wins and everything is part of the deal. And if you don't want to see a team celebrate, man, just win. If you don't want a team celebrating, then just win. Stop being so sensitive. Get some thick skin. And this isn't even like a new thing. This is an old, like you mentioned, this is an old person, get off my lawn, I can't handle it. They always blame us youngins, Loudbeard, for being the sensitive ones, but the older generations have always been oversensitive about celebrating and everything else. They tell you to be a good sport, and there's some truth to that. Like, I don't want you to be a jerk about it. Don't go and dance in people's faces. I don't like taunting. There's a difference between celebrating and taunting, and if the other team's off the ice, who cares what the winning team does with their home crowd, how they party it up? You're not my dad. You don't live my life.
Oh, Chris America, this is the thing about these old men. Don Cherry, this guy he's an old man, which is pretty common for these commentators who talk about these young guys playing sports. He calls all of the Carolina Hurricanes here, he calls them jerks. He says they're jerks over this victory celebration. Do you think an analyst, do you think a hockey Hall of Famer, Don Cherry, should be coming out and calling a team a bunch of jerks for celebrating a victory? I mean, does that sound like the lamest thing ever, or what?
Well, I'm looking at a story here, Loudbeard, and it's got all of their little celebrations. Since when did playing Duck, Duck, Goose become a jerk thing to do? I don't understand, Loudbeard. When did doing the limbo become a jerk thing to do? Again, the ice, they're in the locker room. They're checking their flight schedule, what time they need to be on the bus by. They're not even paying attention to what's going on the ice. They might hear a little bit of like muffled music, but if you win, you and your fans have the right to celebrate. That's part of why you win, is to celebrate with your fans. And look, we are starting to love hockey, and this, to me, will get more casual fans into hockey, especially in the Carolina area. If you live in North Carolina, South Carolina, and you're sitting there, you've never really watched the Carolina Hurricanes, to me, if I live there, this would give me a reason to watch.
And after
it would give me a reason to go to the game, too.
Well, here, I'm gonna one-up you here, Chris America. Yeah, you need a reason to go, right? So Carolina, they took this in stride. They go to their Twitter page, and shortly after they're being called a bunch of jerks by Don Cherry, they update their Twitter bio to read, that bunch of jerks with the fun celebrations. So that's their Twitter bio right now. A bunch of jerks with fun celebrations. And then they followed it up Sunday by announcing that they're now going to be selling a new T-shirt. The T-shirt says, bunch of jerks, and it is now available on their online shop. So if you're in the Carolina area and you want to become a fan of the Canes, go out and buy your bunch of jerks T-shirt. It is available on the Carolina Canes online shop. Man, it's crazy, Chris America.
I'm kind of upset that we can't use that idea now for our T-shirts, for our Scout Team Radio shirts. I would love to have our motto to be a bunch of jerks.
You know, they stole it from us. That's Don Cherry. He's stealing all of our happiness, man. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm just not liking it. I'm just not liking it at all. Yeah, I mean, this is the people, the fans there. They love this. They start after the win. They start doing this thunderous clap, which they're starting to call the storm surge. So it's like the fans start getting into it. I mean, this is WWE style hockey right now. The fans are getting into it. They're all clapping. The storm surge happens. And these players, they're doing all kinds of different things. They're imaginary kayaking around the ice. They're doing a simulated walk-off home run. I mean, they're doing all kinds of fun stuff. I love this, man. We're going to make hockey great again. And honestly, I love my Lightning, but I'm starting to become a Carolina Hurricanes fan, Chris America. I'm adopting a team. They're my new adopted team.
you're up to 3 hockey teams now, which I think is great, especially if you're starting to get into hockey. You can't just root for one team only if you're starting to get into a sport that you don't really necessarily know. So it's good to have like Carolina and your Washington Capitals and the Lightning, and maybe you need to do like the Mighty Ducks or the Sharks out west, or maybe your Golden Knights. This way, when you go to watch all these other teams, you have a reason to watch and you have a rooting interest and you get to have fun. And then when it comes to the playoffs, that's when you need to settle down and say, okay, the Capitals are my team or the Lightning are my team. This is who I'm riding or dying with all the way through. But then you still get to have those other teams that you get to kind of watch and have fun rooting for throughout. That's kind of what I do with college basketball and a lot of like college football. Like the Florida Gators are my team and UCF Knights are my second team, but I like TCU, man. I like rooting for West Virginia. It makes watching college football fun, and I think you need to do that with hockey.
Absolutely, man. I'm all for it. Now, Chris America, I'm going to get into some serious hockey talk because we had a little bit too much fun there. The Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, we don't want Don Cherry calling us a bunch of jerks for having too much fun talking about hockey.
No, Don Cherry. We want to keep him on our good side, even though he's a curmudgeon old man. We want to keep him happy. So I'm going to talk about some power rankings, Chris America, because that's what we love to do. We love to create lists about lists that don't mean anything because it's the middle of the season. But, we've gotten past the hockey all-star break. We've gotten past the NBA all-star break. So now we're starting to kind of get into that serious playoff push. So the Score comes out with their NHL power rankings. And I'm going to list the top 5 teams here, Chris America. And I'm going to mention to you what teams that I think are going to sneak in the top 5 here in the next few weeks, some of the surging teams. And I want to get your thoughts on it. And if you have any thoughts, you could throw them out there. If you don't, we could just keep celebrating the Hurricanes because they did not make my list, man. They did not make the Score's top power ranking list. But our Tampa Bay Lightning sit there at number 1. The Islanders at number 2.
No surprise there.
No. None whatsoever. Islanders are at number 2. Sharks 3. Boston Bruins at 4, and the Calgary Flames at 5. So those are our top 5 power-ranked teams in the NHL right now. But hockey needs to watch out. There are some teams right now that are doing well, and one of them is the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think, to me, Toronto needs to squeak in this top 5. They're sitting right outside the top 5 on the power rankings, but this is Toronto's year, man. They're looking better and better as the season progresses. But I think the Maple Leafs are going to be a serious contender as we get going here, Chris America.
So, Loudbeard, here's where our barn burner fans, all of our Canadian fans, are going to laugh at us. So I don't know. I'm sorry, NHL fans. But like I said, we're Florida boys. We're new to this whole thing.
Yeah, we don't have ice. We have ponds that
like
don't freeze over. We swim in them.
It was 90 degrees outside, and my car said it was 90 yesterday outside. That's how ridiculous it is down here in Florida. But,
True story.
Is this a top 8 like the NBA, or is this divisional winners and then like 2 or 4 wild cards? Because I see there's only 2 divisions per conference. So does it go like the top 4 in each division, or is it just top 8? How does it go, Loudbeard?
Oh, you're going to ask me the tough questions. I'm
I don't know if you know
over here. No, I don't. I'm the NBA expert.
So I'm gonna make it my mission to find that out. So
what we want is all of our fans at Barn Burner to tweet at us at Scout Team Radio, and even it doesn't have to be live. If you catch the podcast later in the day, tweet at us. We see those tweets. We will talk about it on the air. You can make fun of us. You can laugh at us for how American we are because we don't know all the rules of hockey. We don't know the playoffs, and we don't know any of that. Make fun of us. Please tweet at us at Scout Team Radio. Continue, Chris America.
So right now the Maple Leafs sit 3rd in their division with 75 points, but they're not far behind some of the other top teams. The Islanders, you mentioned they were the number 2 team. They only have 76 points. They don't even have the most points in the Eastern Conference. That belongs to the Bruins, which did you mention the Bruins?
Yeah, Bruins were sitting at number 4. And remember, this is a power
Bruins
ranking. This isn't the actual
Right.
rankings,
No, I know. So I'm just kind of trying to wrap my head around some of the logic, because that's one of the things I hate about college football is you'll see a team with a better record, but they're not in like anybody's top 5.
Yep.
So the Nashville Predators, man, that's a team that I would like to see make a run. You asked if there's any teams that would make a run. Man, that Nashville, remember when Smashville was running away in the playoffs 2 seasons ago? I think they're ready to make a quick hot surge, but they seem to be up and down a lot this year, Loudbeard.
Yeah, they do. I feel like the Predators have they peaked. They peaked
Nope.
too early, and now
Loudbeard?
they're on the decline.
I
Yes, sir.
apologize I didn't commit your top 5 list to memory, but did you mention the St. Louis Blues?
I did not. The Blues
Okay.
are sitting outside of the top 5 in the power rankings. They're
The
actually
Blues
sitting at the
right
8th
now,
spot.
The Blues right now are the hottest team in hockey. They have a 10-game winning streak. They are 10-0-0 in the last 10 games, Loudbeard. The only team that is as hot as that are the Lightning, who are 8-0-2. They have not lost a regulation game in the month of February. The Lightning haven't. However, they have lost 2 games in overtime where the St. Louis Blues have not. So look for the St. Louis Blues to have a hot run here towards the end. Now they're sitting.
Whoa. You didn't even mention my hot Carolina Hurricanes, man. You didn't even mention them. They're one of the hottest teams in all of NHL right now. You didn't even mention them.
They're 8-2, and they have a 3-game winning streak.
8-2 in the last 10 games, man.
I mean,
they're streaking, they're surging, and they're celebrating.
That's no 10-0.
Okay. I see what you're trying to do here. You're just trying to diminish the accomplishments of my favorite team right here on air in front of everybody. Okay. I see what you're doing. Go ahead, continue.
Well, they have a tougher road to hoe over there in the Eastern Conference.
Okay, who you calling a hoe? Hoe?
Now you're just sounding like Santa Claus.
Hoe.
All right, Loudbeard. I don't think there's any other teams that I'm looking at. I mean, maybe the Golden Knights. They made it to the Western Conference. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year, but they're kind of falling apart at the seams. They're 3-7 in their last 10, so I think they're on the downward trend. Loudbeard, and sorry, Miss America, I don't see the Detroit Red Wings ever making a run to the playoffs. They're just too far out. That's
All
Miss
right,
America's
Chris.
favorite team, by the way.
Yeah. We've heard that before. I mean, she's all in on these Detroit teams. I mean, if she's a proclaimed Lions fan, you know that she's really a diehard because people don't actually like to publicly admit that. So same thing with the Red Wings. Right now, it's hard to admit it, but she's diehard.
Yeah.
So I
The late
I
90s
salute
are-
her for sticking with it.
The late 90s and early 2000s are a long time ago.
Yeah, it's like a Cowboys fans.
Yeah, a little bit better. A smidge.
Yeah.
I mean, they at least won a title in 2008. But our Lightning, Loudbeard, they are red hot. They put on a clinic last night against the Blue Jackets up there in Columbus. It was cold in Columbus, Ohio, but the Lightning remained hot, 5-1. And our boy Vasi, man, oh man, he's the best goalie in the league right now. He went on, I want to say, like a 184-minute streak without letting a goal scored. He had 3 games going without letting a goal scored, and then with a minute 45 left in the third period, the Blue Jackets finally broke through the ironclad wall of Vasilevsky. Loudbeard, I was hoping he'd continue the streak into the next game, but all good things must come to an end.
Yeah, they really do. The Lightning right now, they're hot, man, and they look like they're the team to beat. So they're sitting there at the top of the power rankings, at the top of the best record in the NHL. They're staying hot. So when we go into this postseason, this is the Lightning's year, right? This is their year. So if they lose, that's on them because they have some of the best players. They have some of the hot, like when you have the best goalie in the league, you got Kucherov, who to me is a superstar. And you just, I don't know, this Tampa Bay Lightning team, if they do not win it all this year, it is going to be an utter disappointment. There is no, okay, you made it to the finals, good year. No, like you have to win it all. The expectations are through the roof. This is their year. If they don't, it'll be a colossal disappointment.
Loudbeard, just to show you how good the Lightning are doing right now, they have 237 goals for. The next closest team is the Sharks and Flames with 219 and 217 respectively. They have 94 points for their record, 94 points. And the next closest team is 79 points. Nobody has over 80 points yet in the standings. The Flames, second most points in the league, and the Lightning played them a few weeks ago or a few nights ago and just utterly embarrassed and utterly crushed the Flames. Just They're putting on a clinic right now. Even the Chris America's watching curse has been lifted. They're just too hot right now.
So they utterly crushed and embarrassed?
Yeah, like cows, like utter
Okay.
cows.
So for all of our listeners out there, please hang on tight. We have a quick commercial break. On the flip side, Loudbeard will utterly crush and embarrass Chris America.
Yes.
'When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening in. We are back with our second half of this electric radio show. We call it Scout Team Radio. I'm Loudbeard. He's Chris America on the other mic, and we're bringing it to you hot and live like we do each and every morning. We play live at 6 a.m. on 12-ounce sports radio. Replay on at 11 a.m. on the radio station. If you want to also check us out, you can hit us up. Our podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or anywhere you can find a podcast, including our website, scoutteamradio.com. To all the Barn Burner listeners out there, thank you for listening in. We are part of the Barn Burner Podcast Network, which is broadcasted out of Canada, but all over the world is broadcasted, so you can catch us anywhere on that Barn Burner Network podcast. Also, getting social with us is awesome because we like to read our tweets out on the air. So if you hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio, we can read your tweets on the air and we can have an interaction. We can have some fun. And if you want to make fun of Chris America, go for it because that's what we want to hear.
At Chris Scout Team.
Huh?
If you want to make fun of me, definitely do it at Chris Scout Team.
Oh, yeah, at Chris Scout Team. Yeah, hit him up. I'm at Loudbeard. Don't make fun of me. If you want to send me jokes about Chris Scout Team, hit them to me at Loudbeard, and then I will read them on the air making fun of Chris Scout Team because that's what we do. And we are here to bring the entertainment, bring the buzz, bring the electric sports radio talk that you want to hear. Not that clickbait sports, big head media talk radio that you get so accustomed to. You've been brainwashed to listen to all that garbage for all of these years. This is different. This is unique. And we are corporate free here at 12 Ounce Sports Radio, and we love it. We can talk about whatever we want, whether it's hockey, whether it's wrestling. We could talk about golf. We're not going to. But we could if we wanted to.
And Loudbeard, sometimes we do talk about things we don't know about, and we're wrong. But a lot of times, if we don't know what we're talking about, we'll just admit it. Like we said, hey, we don't know how do you get in the playoffs, or what the qualifications are, how they do the playoff situation there in the NHL. So we just admit it, rather than just doing what a lot of national guys do, like I don't know, the certain 4-letter network dude who said that Hunter Henry's had a great season this year when he's been injured the whole time. Instead of pretending like we know what we're talking about, we just say, hey, man, we don't know what we're talking about here. Hit us up. Let us know. You let us know. Teach us. Help us teach. Help us. Help us. Help you. Help us.
Helping you, helping us, helping you, helping you, helping us.
Lean on me.
Oh, well played, sir. So I'm going to talk a little college basketball. I'm not going to get into it too much, Chris America. There was some scores last night. If you ever want to listen to those, starting tomorrow, Wednesday, we've got our headlines and stats and all that show right after our show at 7 o'clock. Listen to it tomorrow morning. That is brought to you by our good friend from 12 Ounce Sports Radio, Mr. Beck, who is the station janitor. He's doing a great job. But I wanted to talk about this Duke team. This Duke team has finally taken over the number 1 spot. Your Rocky Mountain High Tennessee team, they lost over the weekend, so Duke finally gets announced as number 1. We talked about it yesterday, how it was probably going to happen. Tennessee falls all the way down to number 5, which I think is kind of cruel because they were on a 19-game winning streak and they lose one game and then all of a sudden they get dropped down. You being a Tennessee hater, I'm sure you're okay with that. But Duke is the number 1 team. Chris America, do you think Duke is going to be the winner of this March Madness tournament? We are here. We're almost in March, Chris America. It is the 19th of February. You need to start getting ready for March Madness. Are you ready to become the biggest Duke fan on the planet?
No, I probably won't become the biggest Duke fan. I'll still be riding that Michigan train all the way until it stops, Loudbeard. And the answer to will Duke win it? The answer is probably not. And that's because winning in this tournament is one of the hardest things to do in all of sports. I always forget how many games it is. I want to say it's 7. You have to win 7 games in a row in order to become the NCAA men's basketball national champion. You can't have any off nights. You can't have any days off. You have to show up every single game, and you're going against some of the top talent in the entire nation, and that is why I love the NCAA championship, the tournament, because, man, there are no nights off, man. I've mentioned that before. You have to show out, and everybody doesn't like it because it's a one-and-done scenario, and we don't get to find out who the best team is, but we don't want to know who the best team is. We want to know who the champion is. And the champion is always the team that wins when they need to win. The team that finds their drive, the team that finds their motivation, the team that overcomes all odds and obstacles. That is who ends up being the champion at the end of the day. Sometimes it's the team with a little help from the referees, not going to lie, but all in all, you want the team that goes through all 7 games and beats all 7 top teams that they have to go against and win it. And man, that's harder said than done.
Okay. All right. So, Chris America, I'm going to have to disagree that you said Duke probably won't win it. I mean, you can't even just say they will or they won't. You're a probable kind of guy. I see how it is. You're a betting man. You're going to make sure you play the odds. I get what you're saying there. But the more I think about it, to me, this is a team of destiny. This team has so much talent. There is just, I don't see Duke not winning this thing. I'm going all in. To me, it's like the old Tiger Woods or the field, and I would go with Tiger Woods. In this situation, it's Duke or the field. I'm going Duke, man. I think this is the year Duke takes it all, and that talent is so good. The other night when they had that huge comeback, to me, that showed, as I mentioned on air, that testicular fortitude. That is what you need. These are winners right here, and I know Zion gets a lot of love. R.J. Barrett's becoming more of a household name as we keep talking about him more and more in the media. but this team is just so talented. I'm all in, Duke. Duke's winning it all, Chris America. You heard it here first, and you probably not in it over there. You're wrong, my friend.
Well, Ladbeard, I've seen this storyline before. I've heard these predictions before. This is the most talented team in the NCAA. I heard it with the Fab Five 2 years in a row. I heard it with Kentucky when they thought they were going to go undefeated. I think they were going to try and do 40-0 back in, I want to say like 2012-ish, somewhere around there. And they fell short. And Duke wouldn't surprise me if they joined the long list of number one overall favorites to go. And there's only been one team, Loudbeard, that I've been 100% confident in to win the national championship. And a little bit had to do with homerism, but it was the 2007 Florida Gator basketball team. That team was just stout, and the main reason why I had confidence in them is not only were they talented, Loudbeard, but they were experienced. And a lot of times, experience overcomes talent in this tournament. You get those teams like Butler, and a few years back, it was West Virginia, I believe. They beat Duke a little while back. And, you know, you see Kentucky and Duke with all these one-and-dones. They end up falling short because they don't have the tournament experience. They don't have that championship pedigree experience to go through the grind of playing 7 top teams in a row.
So you're saying that this Duke team isn't as experienced as maybe the Duke teams of the past? I mean, I think of the early 90s when it was like the Christian Laettner, Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley Duke that was unstoppable. And all of those guys, they played 4 years at Duke. They didn't play this one and done. They played together 4 years, and they were killers, man. That Duke team, they were unstoppable. So this team, you're saying, isn't like that because R.J. Barrett's a one-year wonder. Zion Williamson, one-year wonder. These guys will go into the NBA and go enjoy their bazillions of dollars that they'll earn, and hopefully someday down the road will win championships there. But you're saying that the teams that have the experience, the teams like Villanova that has more experience in depth and less of those one-and-doners, those are the teams that win. Gonzaga, same thing. Not all the one-and-dones, but they have the more mature teams. Okay, Chris America, you're using logic. I see where you're going with that. You're trying to be logical. You're like Spock this morning. All you believe in is logic.
Now, sometimes that team wins. I mean, right? Kentucky won. I don't remember which one and done Kentucky won with. So if you're a Kentucky fan listening in, you can add us at Scout Team America.
I can tell you right now, man, that was
it the John
Anthony
Wall?
Davis.
The Anthony Davis one. Okay.
Yes.
So John
Anthony
Wall didn't win
Davis.
it. I think John Wall was the 40. They tried to go 40, and they fell short somewhere in the tournament, where they went undefeated throughout the whole regular season. They were supposed to be the greatest basketball team of all time. And we've seen it. Calipari has never been short of talent for his run at Kentucky. But he's only got one championship, and that's because you need more than just talent to win these games. You need experience. You need guys who have that, wherewithal to win games over and over and over and over again. And when you run into, like you mentioned, Villanova, man, perfect example of that team that's just, it doesn't have all the talent in the world. You're not going to find a whole bunch of NBA players on there, but they've been in this college basketball game for a long time, and they use that experience to their advantage to exploit some of that athleticism.
I'm telling you, man, that's how it's done. That's how it's done. And that team, I'm just looking at the roster. I mean, a lot of one-and-doners on this team, but a lot of NBA regulars. I know it's not like the who's who Anthony Davis is, but, you had Terrence Jones, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Doron Lamb. Like, this was a talented team, but it was all really run through the one-man Anthony Davis. That, when he went through that, they were talking about him like Zion Williamson is talked about now, right? Like he was going to be this generational talent that's going to be the face of the NBA, and he's kind of become that, but he could win it in Kentucky. He can't win it in the NBA. He's going to have to team up with somebody to win it because he didn't do anything with the Pelicans to get them to that point where they're at that level. And that's because there's so much talent in the NBA. But you're right, that's more of the exception to the rule in NCAA. When you are in college basketball, the teams that have the more experience, the more depth, the more veteran type guys, if you can use that word in college, the juniors and seniors, those are the teams that usually make a nice run. And I always feel like there is we're gonna tweet in. I gotta read the tweet out as I'm doing my thought here. So Mike Berlon from Craft Brewed Sports. You can check them out every Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. They have a Facebook Live video that they do. They are amazing, and also they're on 12-ounce sports radio. But how much of Coach K's experience compensates for the lack of experience from guys like Zion? Great question there, Chris America. You want to take that one? Coach K being the experienced coach with the inexperienced players, does that cover for that inexperienced players?
It definitely can, and there's no better coach in the NCAA that can catch your young guys up than Coach K. But as the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So Coach K can help them, and as long as they're willing to be coached and they're willing to trust in Coach K's system instead of trusting in their own athletic abilities, when Coach K says run this play, and Zion might say, you know what, I can totally do this instead, and that's when these young guys kind of fall into the trap, when they go away from the plan, when they don't trust the process. So again, I'm not saying Duke can't win it. They definitely can, and they're definitely talented enough, and they have the best coach in college basketball, probably of all time. I'll even say that over Wooden. We can argue semantics over eras and whether or not UCLA was paying players back in the day or not. But yeah, Coach K's experience can definitely compensate for that, but Loudbeard. But there's another team out there that from the ACC that I think Duke may need to watch out for come tournament time. And we have UMBC to thank for them having maybe a fiery, passionate, well-motivated run. And that is number 3, Virginia, Loudbeard. That is a team that I feel like once they get to tournament time, they're probably going to play that UMBC game over and over and over again. And I don't think they're going to come in taking anybody lightly.
Well, they can't after last year's embarrassment, but would you put money on Virginia after you saw what they did last year? I mean, do you think that cycle continues? Like you're saying, oh, they're going to come in with this fire. They're going to not underestimate any teams. But that's the stink of last year. It's hard to get that odor off of you, man. It's hard to move on from that. Honestly, I don't think Virginia goes very far. I just don't think they do. I understand that they're going to have that fire and they're going to be embarrassed from last year and they want to redeem themselves. But this isn't Hollywood, Chris America. This team showed that they can't win, and I still don't think they can win. I don't believe in Virginia, and I could see them getting out, maybe making it to the Elite Eight, but not getting any further than that. That would be the best-case scenario for Virginia. I'm just saying.
All right, I got another team that's playing pretty hot right now. They're playing lights out. That's AAC Houston. Houston looks like a very hot outside shot team that I would be willing in one of my brackets to have a deep run. And maybe even I'd have to see how the bracket's set up. Maybe even upset Duke along the way.
All right, Houston's a good choice there, Chris America. Now you're talking sense, okay? Now we threw out Virginia. I said, okay, this guy's a kook. But now that you said Houston, okay, you do know what you're talking about. So I've got to give you a little validity here. Houston is an underrated team. They are very good. I do think Houston has some upset ability. They're hot right now. They are the best team in the American, and yeah, I'd put Houston in. I could see them sneaking into the Final Four, definitely getting to the Elite Eight. That's where I could see a team like Houston. Now, it's not a guarantee, but there is a chance that they sneak into that Final Four. Do they go all the way? Absolutely not, but they can make some noise, Chris America.
All right, Loudbeard, I got one more thorn in the side that might put an end to Duke's run, and that's been the team that's been a thorn in their side their entire basketball existence. Of course, I'm talking the UNC Tar Heels. Is there any shot, if the brackets line up, that the Duke and UNC have to play each other, that UNC could be the team that dethrones their rival and upsets their greatness and their great run to a national championship?
Absolutely not. There's no way, no chance in hell.
Just like that, huh?
Hot take. Yeah, look at that.
Hot take.
Fiery hot. Hot take
And
this
then
morning.
I see that North Carolina A&T, also a rival, they won on Monday. Any chance that they could upset Duke?
Nope, none. Zero. Zero chance. Not a chance in hell.
All right, Loudbeard. I got no more. I think Michigan's my only team that I think if they played Duke at a certain point, whether it's the Elite Eight, Final Four, or the finals, I think Michigan has that balance of experience and talent to beat Duke. That I'm telling you, I'm riding that Michigan train all the way to town.
Okay, you're falling on that sword. Good luck with that. I'm okay with it. There's nothing wrong with that. I see where you're saying, UNC, Virginia could take out Duke, Michigan. Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck with your. I hope you don't wager too much money on that
A
one.
lot of pitfalls. I'll wager my beard.
Okay, so I don't even think Michigan's the best school or the best team in that state. That's the problem, Chris America.
Oh, you think Michigan State's better, huh? Or
I do.
Are you going?
I
or
do.
Are you going Central Michigan?
Nope, not going Central Michigan. I think Michigan State's a better team. Michigan State, to me, is the better team than Michigan. So when you're looking at there, Michigan State tends to do better in the tournament. Now, Michigan had a good run last year. I'm not saying they didn't. The Michigan was really good last year, and they can add on to what they did last year and make a deep run this year. But I just not feeling Michigan as much as I'm feeling some of these other teams. I like Michigan State. Houston, I mean, Chris America, that's a dark horse right there. And the more that you think about it, I could put some money on Michigan winning it all. I mean, not Michigan, Houston winning it all. That could be a good moneymaker for me.
I feel like you're challenging me to a bet for Sunday night's game between Michigan and Michigan State.
Oh, yeah, I could do that. I'm always up for a good bet. Michigan State. Easy money right here, Chris America. What do you want to lose now?
I don't know. I gotta let me sit on this one. I gotta think about what would be a good creative bet that we can come up with. We've done rompers. We've done what else have we done? We've done onesie bets. You've lost your beard at one point. I don't have a beard to wager.
I'm not betting my
so
beard. Just letting you know. I'm putting that out there. That was a traumatic incident where I've been emotionally scarred, and I will never go through that again, Chris America.
Oh man, good times. Good times.
Absolutely good times. Hey, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We're talking college basketball. We only got a couple minutes left. I do want to talk about the NBA power rankings just for a quick moment. We talked a lot about the NHL, but your Orlando Magic, Chris America, they didn't fall very high on the power rankings over at the Score. Now, the Warriors, Bucks, Raptors, Thunder, Nuggets, and Celtics are in the top 5. I don't even agree with the Celtics being in the top 5. But your Orlando Magic, after being on this hot streak that they've been on, Chris America, the Score has them at a power ranking of number 21 in the league. How do you feel about that?
You know what? I'd say I'd want to see where they were last week because I feel like last week they were probably like 25. But 21, I still feel like that's a little too low. I mean, they're playing for an 8th seed in the playoffs. They just routed the Pelicans. They just routed the Charlotte Hornets. So I'd want to see where those teams fall in. But how is a team that's just outside the playoffs ranked, 5 spots below the top 16 teams in the NBA? I don't agree with that. I think I'd put them around 16 to 18, somewhere around there.
Well, and you bring up the Charlotte Hornets. I've got to pull the list back up here, but I felt like the Hornets were higher than they should have been. This was one of those situations where the Charlotte Hornets are getting the love, even though they got stomped. Absolutely stomped
utterly
by our Orlando
embarrassed.
Magic. Embarrassed. It was so embarrassing. But I'm going to say right here, Chris America, the Charlotte Hornets are sitting at number 16 with our Orlando Magic at 21. That needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it will be, Loudbeard, because right now we're still one of the top teams with a win streak. Toronto has 6, we have 5. No other team in the NBA has come close. Nobody even came close to challenging that this past weekend. So Magic stay on an undefeated streak of 5-0.
And it helped that it was the All-Star break weekend. They didn't have a chance to lose because they weren't playing. Perfect.
Loudbeard, why do you gotta say that?
Good job, Orlando Magic, for not losing this weekend. Even though you didn't play, Vucevic did not succeed in the skills contest, but he did. He was on the All-Star weekend. He was representing the Magic well. Congrats to him. Gotta love Orlando guy finally making the All-Star game since,
which team did he end up on?
2011? What happened?
What team was he on, LeBron or Giannis?
I don't remember, Chris America. You're throwing me these questions. It's almost 7 in the morning. I'm tired. I got early morning brain. Come on now. I'd have to look. But with all that being said, I think he was on Team Giannis now that I think about it because Giannis went heavy on the international players. He liked the Montenegro player, Vucevic.
Gotcha. Well, Loudbeard, that's the end of our show. It was a hot one. Came in with a cold entry. try to cool us down here in Florida, but it's all over now, buddy.
It's not over till the fat lady sings.
That was weird.
You're weird.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure if you missed any of our episodes, go to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and rate, or go to Spotify, ScoutTeamRadio.com, or anywhere else you can find a podcast. See ya.